What's going on, Barbarians? Welcome back to another episode of the Blue Collar Barbarians podcast. And it's your boy, J Matt. I'm super excited to bring you guys another veteran and another veteran organization. As you guys know, as this show has evolved on the Barbarians podcast, one of the things that we have decided to do is to bring you guys people of character, and people that have mindsets, people that are doing things within their communities or for their communities that they come from. That being said, tonight's episode is a special one because I get the honor of introducing you to my new friend, Joey. Joey is a Marine Corps veteran, like me, you know, the badasses, the ones that really do shit. Just joking. Calm down, guys. But no, in all seriousness, Joey is an incredible human. He started a foundation that takes veterans out on deep water ocean charters, and lets them fish for a weekend and get a little bit of reprieve and kind of work through some stuff amongst a community of other veterans, which is incredible. Before we jump into that, I want to say thank you to True Work and thank you to Alpha Country Training and Nutrition for helping support this show. They're the ones that are going to help bring this to you. And we just want to say a big, huge thank you to the people that make this possible for all of us to share these incredible stories. Check out True Work. They got these, as you can see, I'm looking absolutely dapper in this flannel. This is a B2 Tech flannel. And then with Alpha Country, anything that you can buy from them is incredible. Use code Spartan10 at checkout, and they will take care of you. I like their pre-workout. Moving along, Joey, brother.
What's going on, man?
Thank you so much. I'm sorry about the long-winded intro. It's time.
No, you're good.
It's time.
Well, cheers.
Cheers, man. First, I want to, in all seriousness, I know we just talked offline a little bit, but I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you for what you're doing for our community. And sincerely, I think that it's one thing to talk about helping or talk about solutions or actions that could maybe help or whatever. It's another thing to take action and do it. And what you're doing, as we're going to get into, is, dude, it's incredible. I have a lot of respect for people that are doing stuff. So thank you very much. I'm really excited to get to share your story, man.
It's not just me. We have a team, but thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. There's a lot of us that have been volunteering and doing the work. So, but yeah, it's great.
Yeah, but I love to see guys that give back, right? Like,
yeah.
You know, when you find something that works for you, and we'll get into this in depth later, but when you find something that works for you, I think it's really important. There's such this victim culture now. Like, I had a bad thing happen to me, or I experienced something bad called trauma, and for the rest of my life, I'm doomed. But it doesn't have to be like that, you know?
Yeah, it doesn't.
And this whole, like, not reach out for help, it breaks my heart. So, like I said, man, to you and your team, we'll just address your team that's not here tonight. Like an incredible thing that you guys are doing.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. So tell me about you. Where do we come from? What do we do?
I come from a generation of Marines, from my grandfather, who was a Marine. My dad was a Marine, did 22 years, retired first sergeant at DI school. He was on the drill field from 84 to 91. And I remember as a child seeing all that going on, the marching and the structure and all that stuff. And as a young man, young child and turning into a young man, you see that and you're like, man, that's awesome. And, but I never was going to be a Marine. Right. And, I graduated high school, lived in a very structured home, and, was a knucklehead, just big time loser. Just graduated, doing all the things that knuckleheads do. And by the time I was 20 years old, I watched all my friends that are getting ready to graduate from college. And I was filling at a JC college and, hosting at a restaurant. And I was like, what am I doing with my life? I'm not progressing. I'm not moving forward. I need to do something. And I knew that I needed to kick myself. So I went down. I told my dad I was going to join. We were actually down at MCRD San Diego, sitting there watching the drill field, the recruits going back and forth, marching. And if you don't know that, and you do know that, that's an experience. And I just looked at him and said, I just had a kind of an epiphany. I was like, I'm joining. And I joined the Marine, and I told him I was joining, which he was baffled by it because I was 20 years old, almost 21. And he's like, thank God, probably is what he's thinking. And I went down to the recruiter, took the ASVAB, and they said, you can't join the Marine Corps. Your score's not high enough. I went, what? I couldn't believe it. And they said, but you can take the test again in 30 days. So I studied. I busted my butt. I studied. And mind you, I was failing JC college. So I was just like, I'm going to learn this thing. And I scored. Well, they have a rule at the time. This is in 99. And they said that if the score is different than more than 30 points, I think it was, the variance, you had to retake the test. Well, I scored more than 30 points. And they said, well, technically they say you're cheating, so you have to take the test again. I was like, you got to be kidding me. So I went in and I took the test a third time, and I scored higher the third time, even higher than the second, higher. And they said, here's the book, pick a job, you can do whatever you want. And my recruiter, just like everybody, a buddy of mine, he was he ended up joining the Army, but he wanted to join the Marine Corps because the dragon, and he knows who he is. Yeah, that was right. That's why he wanted to join. Well, my recruiter, he had the combat aircrew wings and he had the air medal, and I was like, those are badass. I want those. So I was like, I want to fly. So I signed up to be a C-130 navigator, joined the Marine Corps. They said, you have depth perception. You're going 46s. And I was like, best decision that happened to me. I wouldn't change anything, because the brothers that I have made in those times are still my brothers. In fact, we have a text message thread that I won't tell you what's on it. Yeah. It's funny, but it's our humor and all that stuff. But they're brothers to me. And I think all we do is ridicule each other all the time.
Let's
anyway.
Back a step though, bro.
Yeah.
Because you go from failing out of junior college to what am I doing with my life to which, by the way, for my fellow Marines out there, they're going to laugh when they heard it like I did. Like, I scored too low to join.
I couldn't join the Marine Corps. They're like, no, you're good. You're dumb. You're stupid.
Yeah, you're not like. And we're a special kind of stupid being Marines, right?
My favorite color. I like my crayons. I like the red ones. They taste like blood, right?
That's what they say. So you go from that to you score too high, and then they're like, hey, guess what? Now we think you're a cheater, so you got to take it again. And you're like, oh my God, are you serious? Like,
yeah.
I have test anxiety, bro. That's why I failed the first time.
100%. And then so it really comes down to the end that's when I realized in my life as you go through in a young adult that all I had to do was apply myself. I wasn't applying myself to something that I wanted and I desired. So that's what changed, and it kind of set a trigger off in me, I think. And now where I'm at now, and it was a change of trajectory. I'll tell you. It was a huge change in trajectory of my life.
And so for our audience, what he's saying is, so the Marine Corps, all jokes aside, the Marine Corps at a certain point in time had like the lowest entry level to get in for ASVAB.
Oh, yeah.
And what the ASVAB is for our non-veteran friends is a test that you have to take that's an aptitude assessment. It's like the military's version of an SAT that you have to take to try to figure out what career field they think you would accelerate at, or what your range could be. And essentially you could be a caveman grunt if you get in this level, like I think it's like 40 or below, and then anything above that, there's tiers to it. And then once you get into a certain range, then they really try to push you towards intelligence or other crap like that. But for those that don't know what a 46 is, he went into the air wing side of the Marine Corps. Right?
Yeah, so if you look up a CH-46 Echo, it's a tandem rotor aircraft, has 2 rotors on it, looks like a Chinook. If you've seen the movie, Battle of Los Angeles, all the helicopters going in and flying you in, that was actually the squadron that I was attached to. They used that squadron in the movie. But that's the aircraft I flew in. It's now retired, the V-22 Osprey, which is the tilt rotor aircraft, the one that has the tilt rotors on it.
The one that crashes a lot.
I don't have, I don't want to fly on that thing. I'm good. I'll stay with my 46, but, so anyways, that's what I did. I joined that. I got attached to HMM 268 Red Dragons. I was stationed out of Camp Pendleton. As soon as I got there, we're deploying in 6 months. We did a workup and a workup is where we start to prepare for it if we're in a combat situation. So we're flying missions, we're doing insertions. We went now that we're in Camp Pendleton, California, we would go up to Long Beach and the oil rigs out there. We would do insertions, taking soft teams in there, the SEALs and all that stuff in there and drop them off in the rigs, and they were running scenarios. And then we deployed, and that was in 2001. Went all over, saw the world, Hawaii, Darwin, Australia. We did humanitarian efforts in East Timor, Thailand, Singapore, UAE, Dubai, Bahrain, Kuwait, Jordan, Saudi Arabia. I mean, I don't know what parts we didn't see. And then head back, hit Guam, hit Hawaii.
So you guys were on a float trip, or did you?
Yeah, 6 months. We were on a boat, the LHD-4, which was a USS Boxer. And when we got off the Boxer, we came back. We hit the Tiger Cruise. My dad, you have a Tiger Cruise where you can have family members come and join you. He came on the boat with us, so he could see. It was kind of cool. So my dad got to see me doing. 2 years ago, I was failing out of college, and the next thing I know, I'm landing helicopters with my pilots on an aircraft carrier. So talk about a life change. And so we're watching that. Well, we got off the boat September 13th of 2001. So we were sitting off the coast of Camp Pendleton when 9/11 happened. So we were sitting there, and remember when the towers got struck and everything like that. And
what was that like?
So from what I mean, this is a long time ago. It's 2001, and it was very surreal. We saw that happen, and we were like, "Oh, it's an accident." But the moment we found out about that second plane, we went, "Nope, that's not." There was intent. So, and that whole boat, the whole deck, everybody was like, all the civilians that had gone on in Hawaii to ride with us, dads and brothers and stuff like that. No wives, because you've been gone for 6 months. We don't want that. But they were on the boat. We were like, "You're getting off, and we're going back out because we gotta go kick some bad guys' butt." And that, and they ended up pulling us off the boat. I found out later, my buddy, who I went through flight school with and all that, he's like a brother to me. He was in Australia, and he ended up going to Afghanistan during that first part when and flying over to Pakistan. He was there. He was 16 months. He was in Afghanistan. And his military career was not the best. And he was the only boot. No new guys and everything like that. He was the new guy at the squadron, and he was the new guy for 3 years. Like, there was nobody new that got sent to that squadron. But he was all alone. Where a lot of the guys that I went to the unit with, I went with a squad of a group of guys, and we went through schoolhouse together. We went to the squadron together. We deployed together. We came back, and then we got off the boat September 13th, and so we had a tight knit. He didn't. Well, then what happened is we did our workups, and then they said, "Hey, we're going to Iraq." So in February of 2003, we ended up packing up. We shrink wrap our birds. We literally put them in like a Ziploc bag and put them in a boat, shipped them off, and then we flew there. And then they took them out, craned them off the helicopters. We put them together and flew them into Ali Al Salem Air Base, which was in Kuwait. And from there, we would fly missions going up.
And then just for a time frame here, dude, because
Yeah.
I'm curious, what if you're talking 03? I mean, you're at the tip of the invasion.
Mm-hmm.
Not.
We were the tip. No, we were the tip. So
Okay.
we got there in February to be the tip. So when we got there,
For my
This will probably
audience, the tip of the tip. When we're saying the tip, we're referring to being the tip of the spear, like we're getting
Yeah.
ready to insert. So
Right. So we were sitting in, we got there in February, started, testing, you're doing all your training, maintaining your training levels and stuff like that. And so we got, there in that, in March, the war kicked off. It was, I think it was March 19th is what I say, but it's funny. All of us, we say March 19th, March 20th, 21st, when the war kicked off. We were sitting off the Ollie, in Kuwait. We were at the peninsula of Kuwait, where Saudi, if you look at the rep map, Iraq touches that. So there's a little port down there, and they wanted to take that out. You want to cut off supplies, and the first thing, it was going to be the largest troop insert since Vietnam, and it was a 23 bird launch. There was, and we were going to drop off some British commandos that we were flying in, and as we were flying in to drop off these troops, the aircraft in front of us nosedived into the ground, and we lost them. And it was a good buddy of mine. So it's all right. And that was a big impact. Another big impact in my life, that changed. And I mean, I can go more into it more, but, it was, it was at the point when I realized everybody wants to go to war, until I realized what war is. And that's the problem. You want to fight and be the bad guys and everything like that. But war is not pretty. It's not for the faint of heart. And that's when you have to find out where strength and inner strength and perseverance comes through. And, I remember when that happened, I'll still never forget. I said, if I don't do something with my crew, I need to stay focused or we're going to die. So they called mission abort about 2 minutes later after the flight. Yeah. So they had aborted the flight. And what happened was, basically we took off. We were doing the 23 bird launch. I was dash 4, and if you fly, you're in a fingertip formation. You have dash 1, 2, 3, and 4, and our dash 3 we were flying, and then they kind of broke left, got disoriented, and they nosedived into the ground and crashed. After that, mission abort. The reason why the visibility was really bad, because it was at night, it was 1 o'clock in the morning. We had a headwind, and they were dropping artillery in before we were flying in, and all that sand that was coming in created visibility about 1/8 of a mile. There was no horizon. You couldn't see anything. It was very disoriented. So if you didn't know, if you had any type of vertigo, it would jeopardize that. And that's what they determined, that it was vertigo that caused that. He went head first right into the ground. I remember asking our doc of our squadron, I said, did they feel any pain? And one of the things they said was they hit that ground 10 times harder than Dale Earnhardt hit that wall. And I went, man, in retrospect, the stub wings on the aircraft had snapped off, and they flew about 200 yards forward. So that's where they found him. So they hit it pretty hard. No pain. It's probably what you want for your brothers. So anyways, we landed, and then day off. They gave us 1 day off to mourn, and they said, okay, back at it. And then you go back to war. And you got back to doing Kazovac and that. And a lot of my other guys, I could go on stories about all the other guys, but it changed us in that retrospect of value of life. And I think as veterans, we see the evilness of what war is. And as many people, you talk about wanting to go to war and fight. It's the last thing we want to do. Because you see the evils of man and that. But yeah, so anyway, I came back. I got out of the Marine Corps. We got back September 19th of 2003. And I got out that following March. And the Marine Corps, at the time, the transitions were horrendous. They were bad. They were just like, welcome back to the States. Here's your papers. See you later. And I went from flying crew in helicopters, making sure everything's safe for flight, signing off $10 million aircrafts to working at a place in downtown Disney in Anaheim. And I was a food runner, and I would bring food to the table. And I would be like, you want some salsa for your burrito? A place called Tortilla Joe's, which is not there anymore. And I was just, and it was such a humbling experience. But I was dealing with so much anxiety at the time. I didn't know. So I struggled. Well, at the time I was going to school. I went to get my degree. I went back to school, got my degree in computer programming, computer information systems, knocked that out in 3.5 years. And at the same time, I got married, got divorced within a year, which I think is standard protocol in the military. And then I remarried again right after that. And that marriage lasted about 10 years. I had a son, which I love. He's, I have him, but I get that's turned into a divorce. And in that time I worked I can go on, this story can go on forever. I'm just letting you know. I went all over the place. So I ended up moving to Dallas from Orange County, where my family was, but I ended up moving to Dallas, Fort Worth area in Frisco, Texas. And I ended up managing, and this was in 2008 is when we moved. So in the market crash, and my wife had left me, and I was trying to stabilize it. So she wanted a new environment. So that's what we did. We moved, and don't move and start a new career in 2008. That's the dumbest thing you could ever do. But I was determined. And so that's what I did. And I ended up going around selling coupons door to door, the little tiny little $5 coupons that you have, like, hey, buy. And it was buy $40. You can get four tickets to Dallas Stars, and then you get some coupons to buy more. And I was going around selling that. And a guy I sold them to, and as I was walking out of the store, this barbecues galore, this manager comes running out. He's like, hey, what, dude, you just sold my top guy something. He goes, you want a job? You let me know. I said, I'm going to walk around this corner and I'm going to call you right now because I need a job. And so I ended up getting a job. They hired me as a manager at Barbecues Galore. And I was using my credit cards to pay bills. I was using my credit cards to pay the rent in it. And that, and all those things happened. So then I worked there for about a year. The business, 2008, everything's collapsing, market's crashing, people are bankrupting, the companies are bankrupting, and they were doing a whole revamp. So they had to change some things, and I ended up getting ready. They were basically pushing me out, and which it's business. It's how it works. And the guy that I sold to was like, Joey, you got it. You know how to sell. He goes, but you don't know the steps of the sale. So what we need to do is you need to go over to this dealership and learn how to sell cars. They're always busy. I said, okay. So I went over a dealership, started selling cars, which I got out of the business because it's not my style. It's just not me. But I moved up into management within 2 years. We were number 5 in the nation. And I learned so much from selling there, and how selling is the psychological part of selling. And there's so many different tricks and what you're doing. But I want to take a step back for a second. Yeah.
No, you're good.
No, you're
check
good.
It out, because there's a connection here that people don't realize is, being a combat veteran, especially, and dealing with loss and dealing with change and having it all thrown at you at once. What people don't realize is that you have to learn how to adapt in any situation. And you go from let's back up to war. You went to war. You went to war at a time when nobody knew what war was. They hadn't seen a war since the 90s.
My dad was in 22 years. Okay. And he is 10 times better Marine than I ever was. Okay. But he never served in combat. He was in Desert Storm for 2 weeks and that was a 1-day war. So he never seen combat. He was in 69 to 91, and he was on a flight to Vietnam when they started doing the pullout, and they literally diverted his flight from Vietnam to Japan, and he was stuck there for like 2-3 years in Okinawa with 5 guys in one barracks.
So I think
Yeah,
I think that's really important, dude, because like your story is not one that's just not that any of them I take lightly, but like you went to war at a time when we didn't even like you were talking about your workups and doing oil rig stuff and insertions. Like our workups were, and this was 20 years ago now for me. I was
for us,
almost 20. Oh yeah, almost 20 years ago. 08 was when I first our workups were 29 Palms and like desert interactions of 29 Palms. You went from like floating Muse and being America's 911 force as we are designed. That's what the Marine Corps was designed for. To holy shit, they attacked us and we're gonna give them hell, boys. Like we're up, and we don't even know. Our leadership doesn't even know what war is, except for maybe some of the top brass that was a part of Korea or Vietnam, like you said, the guys that are up there, but they're not the characters. They're not the ones playing the games. They're just the strategists at this point. So it's like you went during a time, I mean, like I can't even relate with because I couldn't, you know what it's like to fight a uniformed army even at that. Because during the initial push, you were fighting the Iraqi army, right?
Yeah.
So like, and when we went, everybody looked the same because it was guerrilla warfare when I went, right? And so,
right,
like,
totally different war, different war.
Yeah, but not to take away because even in
right,
you guys paved the way for where tactics then were expanded upon and built. And I guess what I want to go back to with that is because I think you covered it really good. Is I mean. You went during a time when nobody knew what was going on. So they sent you over to war, didn't even think about the repercussions of what happens from going and being under stress 24/7 for, how long were your guys' pumps back then? A year?
No. When I went in, we only did 6 months on the boat. And then we went to Iraq. We were there for 7 months, but when we were there, we were the first one of the first ones in, but the last ones out. But everybody had rotated out because before us, they came in and then war lasted 30 days and then they were done and they shipped everybody back to the States. And that's when all those rotations started and then it was a 1-year rotation. But then they started pulling people back to 6 months because 1 year was too long. But we were the last ones to leave. So as the relieving force came in, once we left, that's when the really rotation started coming in. And that's when OIFs 2 started. And then people were going into Fallujah. And that was a whole different, that was when like you said, the guerrilla warfare started. Because you didn't know who it was.
Yeah, because the enemy adapted for our audience is what happened. Like this is just a brief history on war for the people that don't know it. Because I think it's important to highlight, like the enemy evolved and they figured out, now we're going to dress just like everybody else and blend in, and we're going to do this, and we're going to change this and this and that. But when you were there, though, like you went during a time when nobody even really knew what you're supposed to do other than kill bad guys. It's us versus them, and you're going to take being in the aviation side of things, especially 46s. For the people that don't know, some Chinooks typically are assigned to cool shit, like they're dropping cool guys off, or they're carrying sling loading shit places. Typically they're not, not everybody gets to ride in a 46, right? It's a very particular aircraft, and they were used very specifically.
Yeah, we did. It was funny. We did a lot of Casevac. So our aircraft was used to pull out a lot of wounded, and and I think this is all of us. We always look at our brothers and sisters and they did a better job than me. They did more than me. And everyone's like, no, you did more. That's all we do. He's the hero. I'm not. And I think that's typical with us veterans. And like my buddy Nate, he flew, and Joe Morales, Chris Okeson, Ben Knickerbocker, all these guys that Amanda Haynes, she wrote a book. She was one of the first female crew chiefs to come through the school. But Peter DiMartino, all these guys we flew with, they were flying missions. I'm talking 18 hours of flight, and their job was to go in, pull out wounded, and get them out. Like when they were wounded, and not only that, it's like we need ammo. And they brought in ammo for him. I mean, so it wasn't just a CASEVAC mission. It was, what do you need? And that's all we were. And it's so important to think, to me, we all joke and laugh about everybody that's like, your supply, your admin, but everybody plays a very particular role to make sure that the mission is successful. And I think when you go to combat, you see that you value every single person and everything they do, because the lives, it comes down to, in the Marine Corps, it's the grunt. The grunt is the purpose of our mission, and to make sure that he comes home or she comes home, whatever it is. So
whatever it is anymore.
Anyway.
Yeah, but so, and then you're in an unknown. It's an unknown entity, essentially, being at war, because nobody knows what's going on. You don't even know what to expect. You just go. You're the first one.
Yeah.
And then you come home, and this is at a time where they haven't even considered the backblast that comes with all that. You've literally just spent 7 months of your life in constant stress, seeing, being a part of the worst scenarios and situations. Especially being an initial invasion. I mean, back then, people were dying. I mean, let's just call a spade a spade. There was a lot of people dying back then, and you were bringing them home, or bringing them to be able to get sent home, and or to receive aid. And then you went from that to, I'm not staying in. Somehow got out, because that had to have been tricky in itself. I mean, they let you out, but sounds like you caught a thing where, because they went through a period where they were like retaining people, like.
Yeah, they were. They were. I don't know. I don't know how that happened. I'll be honest. It was a blur. They were the 5 years after my getting out. I don't remember much, because I drank. I was a drinker. If I wasn't drinking, I was sleeping. And if I wasn't sleeping, I was drinking. And to the point, my family didn't drink around me. And because I was just so dependent on it. And it wasn't, I realized later that I was drinking because I was trying to reduce the anxiety that I had dealt with. So.
You learned that. That's
well,
I think you figured that out at some point. It's just a matter
let me get to the story. So car business, sold cars, very successful. I always came in there, and I would literally sit down with people. I'd be like, okay, hold on. And I'd just start writing down numbers. They're like, what are you doing? I'm like, we're negotiating. Just don't worry about it. Cause I knew the numbers, and I would just sit there and be like, all right, what payment? I need to be around 300. I said, okay, just sign here. So like, it's 290. I said, I know. Just trust me. Just sign here. And I'd come in there and be like, okay. And I would just move the numbers. I'm like, all right, I got you a 298 payment. And they never had to negotiate, because I was just negotiating with the sales manager, because I knew what they wanted. I was putting my client first before I was putting the business first. And because of that, I actually had more business. I was selling 30, 40 carloads a month. I didn't have to look for business, because business came to me, because I was focusing on taking care of the people, because I wanted to help people.
Right. Okay. But that's where I'm going with this.
Right. But I didn't know this then.
Purpose?
But I didn't know it then yet. Because I was still struggling and figuring my ways. Okay. So then I got out of the Marine. I left the car business, moved into management and stuff like that. And I ended up moving back home to California with near the family. My marriage had fallen apart. It didn't work out. And I'm divorced again. And I ended up struggling to the point to where I was working for a company selling life insurance now. And again, people are like, what are you doing? I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like breaking records and the whole sales thing. I'm I'm just being me. I'm just being honest and, being that truthful and honest person. And I was like, this isn't me. And I didn't like the business model. So I left it. And, what happened was I had ran into my old buddy, Jeff Lindquist, and he was struggling at one point. So in the Marine Corps, he slipped a disc and he had to have spinal fusion. And if you don't know what spinal fusion is, it's you have a disc on your spine and they literally put 2 screws in and 2 screws in between where the spine is. And then they put a metal rod between the heads of those screws to hold everything in place so that disc doesn't spin. So they use the top one and that. He had slipped a disc in the Marine Corps and then he ended up getting out. To the point was he was taking 180 milligrams equivalent of morphine a day to deal with the pain. And he started overlapping his drugs, these opioids and all these other things. And I ran into him to help him. And when I met him, I saw him for the first time. We had literally, this is God's hand, moved at the same time to the same place 10 years later. And he's like, I need to move some stuff. And I was like, what do you do for a Marine? I'm there. That's what we did. We were brothers. This is part of my crew. So I went there, helped him move some stuff. And when I was hanging out with him, I was like, who is this guy? He's not the same dude. And it's because he was on these meds. I get another phone call from a friend who was my surgeon. And he says, hey, Joey, they got this experimental medicine. It's going to help with PTSD and you're kind of messed up. I'm not messed up. I'm fine. I'm good. And I went and got treat, and I was like, but I'm fine. But Jeff, he's jacked up. Send him. So Jeff goes and gets the treatment, comes back 2 days later, cold turkey's off the 180 milligrams equivalent of morphine a day. Doctors tell him, don't do that. You're going to die. Your body's going to go through withdrawals. Wife comes in and says, what did you do to my husband? So it's called at MERT. It's a place called in Newport Beach called Wave Neuro. And what it has done, now athletes are using it, special needs, kids with autism are talking. I mean, it's next level. But he saw that. So I went through the treatment and I found out the biggest thing was sleep. And I could go on that on a whole nother episode. Yeah. To the point I left the insurance company. I started working at this place. I started sleeping through the night. I stopped drinking. It reduced my anxiety levels. I started to become normal. It didn't remove my experiences, but I started to feel better about everything. And the fog went away, that fog that we all have. And that's when I realized, so I almost became, during that time, I almost became homeless. I ended up getting divorced again. And then one of the guys that were going through treatment says, hey, I was like, hey, I'm about to be homeless. I just need to find a roommate. And he goes, oh, my buddy, Nick, he needs a place. You want me to send him over? I was like, yeah, send him over. I was like, I'll take anybody. And literally Nick walks in and he says, he looks at the place. Mind you, the house was my parents' house. They were getting ready to sell it because I couldn't pay the rent and they were helping out, struggling. And there was no doors. There was no doors or door frames. The house was ripped, kind of, everything like that. I had all the stuff in the living room piled up. I was sitting on the couch and he walks in and goes, looks good. How much? I'm like, $700. He's like, cool. See you January 1st. And this was December. And he moved in. And Nick and I, Nick is the other co-founder of Real Warriors Foundation. Okay. So he moved in and I was at a point of suicide. Joe, I was going over my finances so I could make sure my finances was good so that my son had all the money and he would be financially okay. And when Nick moved in, he was Army, he was a medic with the 101st. He moved in and he helped me. We would talk. We talked. I don't know. We solved so many problems healing the world. Like hours. I'm talking. We did a lot of this and a lot of this. and then we ordered tacos, and then we did more of this. And I mean, that's what we did. But it was
medicine.
It was medicine, and and me and him had our views are so polar opposites. But no matter what, and there was never a battle of like Marine Corps is better, Army's better. We didn't do any of that. He was like a brother to me, and he still is. So to the point of I was, I was still figuring out things. He had already struggled a lot. He had already come back, and when we connected, and that, so we were roommates for almost 4 years. He went to Chapman, got his degree in medicine, and that he's actually finishing up his PhD right now in Bowling Green. I mean,
That's incredible.
Yeah, I know, right? He's a brilliant mind. I love the guy. And what happened was, I started dating a girl. She's now my wife, and when we were dating, you know how you start dating somebody and you kind of be like, hi, you kind of become another person, and your buddies are like, dude, what's wrong with him? He's acting like a douchebag, you know? You know what I'm talking about? You're like, dude, what's up? And he said, this is the first girl I've actually seen you date. Cause I'm single now, that you're you. Nothing changes with you. So I was like, really? Yeah. And I realized that I was never pressured, and she's obviously now my wife. We've been married. We've been together for now over 7 years. And I'm like sitting there going, this is easy. And we have a very happy, yeah, thank you.
I'm stoked for you on that, dude.
Third time's a charm. But, I always joke with her. I go, this is my favorite wedding that we ever I've been in. And she's like, shut up. Anyway, but, so,
I'll make your dad proud.
Yeah. So, we go on our honeymoon, we come back, and I'm walking through the door, and I had left him, right? We were gone for a week. He was still our roommate. He was finishing up his degree. I'm like, you don't need to move out. And she understood it as well. And he turns around on the couch and goes, hey, and by the way, the reason where I'm at now for work is I'm fixing medical equipment, right? My buddy that I flew with in Iraq had posted something on Facebook, said, hey, we're hiring. I'm like, I need a job. He's like, you need a job? I was like, I need a job. So I ended up working for a company where we went into hospitals and we fixed medical equipment. And I did that for 5 years. And I love that job. It was great. And, but anyways, we walked through the door, and he turns around, bourbon in hand, is like, hey, what? By the way, a lot of the times he started taking me fishing. Okay. He's the fisherman. I'm not. He takes me fishing. We're having a good time on the water. We're talking. We go out for like 2.5 days and stuff like that. So when I came back, he says, let's start a nonprofit to take veterans fishing. And I was like, let's do it. And my wife's like, we just got married. Like, we're having a family. Then I'm like, no. We're going to start a nonprofit first. So we started this nonprofit, and like brothers, we butted heads. We fought, and the whole goal was to we want to take people fishing, but we needed to raise money. And so we take 20 to 30 veterans out at a time. And that's the big caveat to it. We don't drink on the boats, and we found so much peace on the water, because I can't drink when I'm on the boat because I get a little seasick. I still go because I love it. But we would go out there. So we said, we're going to start a nonprofit. So we started figuring it out. I got to my, some of my Facebook groups, and they started Real Warriors is where the name came from. And we got the name, we got the logo. My buddy who hired, my Marine Corps buddy, his sister-in-law was a graphic artist. She comes up with the logo, which you can see on my hat. And we raise money. We raise about $25,000 the first year, and we do one charter because they cost about $25,000, about $1,000 a veteran, and we pay for everything. Nobody has to come up with any dime other than you just need to get yourself there. And we put them on the boat, and we leave on a Friday, and we get back on a Sunday. So we leave Friday night. We get on a boat. You sleep. You wake up. We're about 100 miles off the coast of San Diego. And when you get off the boat, you wake up. There's coffee, breakfast. We have lunch. We have dinner. It's full kitchen and everything like that. You don't have to worry about anything. And all you have, no cell service. There's nothing. The only person that's there, nothing. The only person that's there is the person to your left and to your right. And all these people are we're all veterans. And so you have a lot of time where you're sitting there talking. And then by noon, it's like a concert. Everybody's talking. We're all having a good time and everything like that. There's no pressure. Nobody's talking. But then when the fish hit, it's on another level. So when you throw your reel out there, you get a sardine, you hook it in there, a mackerel, you hook the nose, you throw the bait in the water, and that bait starts swimming, right? Well, these tuna, which is bluefin tuna, yellowtail, dorado, all these different fish, they range in fish. The record right now for the fish is a 238-pound bluefin tuna. That's the record. All right, and that takes a couple hours to reel in. And one thing about bluefin tuna is they are able to reoxygenate their blood. So we go to the gym, we work out. I'm like 15, 16, and then you got to put the weight down, and then you're like, oh, and you got to get that blood flowing through your blood again, muscles, so you can start lifting again. Bluefin don't need to do that. It's constantly reoxygenating.
So they just go.
They just keep going. They are, as Nick would say, they're just a big freaking muscle swimming in the ocean. Okay. And so when they hook, what happens is our sardine is doing like 3-4 miles per hour. And this bluefin is doing about 30. And it just comes in, opens the mouth, and hits that fish. And your reel goes zoom, 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 and it's like a gear. And then you just turn that clutch down, and then that rod goes like this, and you're holding on for dear life. And it's just ripping line out. And depending on what you're fishing, it's a fight. So sometimes we're finding 20, 30 pounders, and then sometimes we're what we call cows, which are over 200 pounds, bluefin tuna. So anyways, go back to the story. We do our first charter in July. We take 25 veterans out. I think the smallest fish that we took was 90 pounds, bluefin tuna. We became really good friends with Jeff Spafford. He fishes the Constitution, and he is part of the Real Warriors community and family. And that's what we did. And we went. Everybody caught out the boat. Everybody that was on that boat still talk today. They're still friends. They still network. They're all but that's what it is. Yeah. So what really Real Warriors really turned into was that community that me and Nick had created between ourselves. From that time we were roommates to the time we were fishing, and all that anxiety and the depression and the isolation that we deal with as veterans after we've gone to it, we have a hard time connecting with people. Well, then let's get with other veterans. Whether it is, I don't want to go sit at, I don't want to go sit at a bar and drink and do that. So why not get active? And there's a lot of great other nonprofits out there doing great stuff. We've collaborated with Higher Ground, which is a big nonprofit. They're a lot bigger than us, but they've come in and we've collaborated and that. So, but that's what we did. We got everybody together and we do that. So now we're at a point now we do about 4 charters a year. We do Fins and Fairways, which is our fundraising tournament. It's in Oceanside this year. It's June 1st. We do golfing one day and then we do fishing the second day. Those are the 2 days that we do it. And it's a fundraising event and we do raffles and all that, but it's a fun event. I mean, one year we had inflatable dinosaurs out and you got to shoot it. You got to hit through the dinosaurs. We had a big donor of ours, 2A Zone, which is out of a Rancho Cucamonga. They're a store out there that, sells guns and stuff like that. And they came out and we had an air cannon. And instead of hitting the golf ball, you put the golf ball in there, you shot the air cannon to try to get on the hole. I mean, we make it fun, and that's what it's about. So that's really cool that we do that. But but yeah, that's how it all happened. And from that, I found a lot of peace in helping people, and that's what fills my heart. So when COVID happened in 2021, my wife, we lost her father-in-law, and then
I'm sorry to hear that too.
that's okay. Um, and my parents ended up moving because we didn't want to leave California where our family was here. We're like, well, what are we doing here? So we ended up moving to San Antonio, Texas, because I wanted to go back to Texas. I love Texas. It was just my, it's just, it was my fit. May not be everybody's, but it was for me. And my wife, we went there, and I was not going to push her. And she went in there and was like, we're moving. And I was like, oh, we are? I was like, oh, I was excited about it. But at the same time, I was pretty surprised that she was actually so willing on the first visit. And we've been here now for a couple of years, and we love it. And now I went back into sales. And during that time, during COVID, I worked in the medical industry, and I got out because they required some things of me, and I didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
And my wife, I was going to fake it so I could keep my job. And my wife said, don't ever do that. She goes, you haven't jeopardized your integrity now. Don't do it. Don't do it now. You've never done it. Don't do it now.
Woman.
That's why, yeah. So I'm blessed to have her in my life. And so she goes, we're fine. We're not going to struggle. We flipped a property. I went in and renovated it, gutted it. She goes, figure out what you love. She goes, my dad did that for me. And my wife has been teaching dance for 30 plus years. And she goes, that's what I love. It's my passion. And I'm blessed to have that. She goes, you've had every job that you could think of. I worked at a foundry where I poured iron to make castings for Caterpillar, running food at a restaurant, fixing medical equipment. I've had every job you can think of.
Survive.
But
that's what you did.
I was surviving. It was. And I was taught, and my parents taught me great. They taught me to be very blue collar, like go out, you're going to work, and just that work ethic go. And I have that. But what is it that I want to do? And after Real Warriors really brought that in helping. I love helping people. And then I got into, as I was helping people, that helping people turned me into, I loved real estate because like when I was in Texas, I bought a house in 2009, miraculously. But when I got divorced, you got to get rid of all your assets. You got to get rid of everything and everything. So we sold the house, and I made about $70,000. And I was like, kind of like this, what's this all about? And I started educating myself throughout that time about real estate. So I got into lending, and I was going to be a realtor, and I don't have the time to. I have a lot of respect for realtors going around and showing people, homes and making sure they have everything that works for that client. But I thought I could be more of an impact as a lender. So I got my real estate books. I was going to be a realtor. 2 months later, I go, I think I'm going to do on the lending side. I think that's where I want to go. Because she goes, I was waiting for you to say that. Like she knows me, my wife, right? So I became a real estate, and that's what I do now. I'm in lending. I help people buy homes. I focus on VA and FHA, and then VA construction loans. And that's all I focus on. It's just in that way I can help people achieve that dream of home ownership and stuff like that. So, and then I run nonprofit with the team that I have. And yeah, it's been a journey, and it's not done yet.
No, dude, it sounds like you're just getting started.
I am.
And full transparency, I love that. That's the kind of people I want in my tribe. That's my circle. I want go-getters. I have a never summit mentality is what I call it. So like, I'll never be there. There is no such thing as the top. The top is where you stop, right? Like that's what it is. So I guess what I'm saying is I align with you in your mentality, because like I don't think people understand where that comes from. And to be honest with you, I don't think we do. I think like this is just a shot in the dark. And for our audience, this is not a pre-planned thing. I'm just going to ask him something because I think we're like this. But you want to just leverage yourself to be able to make the biggest impact that you can. I mean, you want to
I do.
experience nice things along the way, but your ultimate goal, what brings you the most fulfillment, I'm guessing, is how big of an impact can I make in other people's lives? How many people
It
can
really
I
is.
scale?
Yeah, I want to see people succeed. Like
Yeah.
we
Yes.
all have struggles, and every single one of our journeys are different. We've had we to say that my experience is the same as yours, but how many people, we watch Instagram, we go on there and we watch the reels and all these stuff, and we relate to so many other people, but we're so unwilling to share our stories. But I guarantee you, we all have the same stories. I'm not the only one that has a story. There's somebody out there that does that. But how do we? We're not alone in this journey, and that, and we need to help. And there's times where, like, you want to help somebody and you want to do all these things for people, but sometimes you got to work as a team and help that out. And that, I correlate that to Real Warriors. I got Real Warriors to a certain point of growing it, and as a leader, I was doing everything. And the guy that was with me, Ben, um, he was on my board for a short time. He flew with me in Iraq. He was my AO, um, aerial observer. Aerial observer is kind of like a co-pilot
Yeah.
and that. But I mean, not that he was any less or better than me. I mean, we could have switched seats. It was no big deal. But he he said to me, he goes, Joey, he goes, I want you to write down every single thing you do with Real Warriors. And I started writing down everything. He goes, now start giving that out to people. Like, we're a team. Stop trying to do everything. And he taught me how to be a leader. He taught me these skill sets of going, it's okay to let other people doing it. And then I had to learn trust again, because I think in life I struggled with trust and trusting other people to do certain tasks. And now I feel like I don't do anything for the nonprofit. But if I joked around and said to the guys, I'm going to step down. And they're like, the hell you are. They didn't want me to. So it's really become like a family, and we all have the same mission. Nobody gets paid for our work in the nonprofit. Nobody gets paid but Real Warriors. We are all volunteers. Josh Haywood's a handyman. Chris Woodburn's in finance. Brad works in corporate America. Nick is getting his PhD, and I'm over here, and we all volunteer. And then Cheryl, she's retired. Cheryl is a civilian, and she's our secretary on our board of directors. She lost her son to suicide, and we met her out of the blue. But she fishes, and so now she's part of the family, and that's what we do. And she actually runs. She is going to be running our all-female charter. So we do 4 charters a year. One of the charters we do, it's an all-female charter, only females on the boat, and then that way a lot of the women's can get together, be together, and connect with like minds. It's about that. It's about finding that network. So we're not so isolated after our time in service, because the transition getting from military life to civilian life is not easy. It's not, and it can be. You're literally going back to a model that we can't connect. So it's important to have people to your left and right, not feel alone. So
I think, man, what a journey. The reason I ask you that is, so for me, it's like, it's funny because we're talking about purpose, right?
yeah,
Literally, that's essentially what this is about. What brings you purpose, and it's serving others. And
yep,
I am like that myself. Like, I'm at a point in my career where I don't enjoy what I do, but I'm past the point where it's like, oh, because I struggled like you did when I first got out. I jumped job to job, to career field to career field to career field to career field, like just aggressively, like, nope, don't like this, go to here, go to here. And like now I've been doing this for 11 years, and I'm like, it's not that I want to just quit because I'm like, oh, okay, this sucks, or what else is. It's like this. It doesn't do anything. Like it's been a cool experience being a crane operator, building high rises and doing shit, but it doesn't give me, no purpose,
Right.
like I want to like lead
It
and
feels
help and
it fills that provider role, but it doesn't give the purpose role. There's two
that's
different.
it.
Yeah, I agree.
And so when I hear your story, and then to like, man, it just makes more sense now. Like, never that it didn't, but like it all like I can see how this came about, because like essentially you tried this and this, and then you got a huge dopamine hit essentially from taking those guys fishing once, and that initial group was like, dude, if people could experience this, I mean, you guys still talk, you said, so it's like, if people could experience this, then it could change their life. It does. And so then now you've scaled it to where it's like, even with what you're doing, dude, as a loan officer now, and like helping guys, like you're helping people fulfill a dream, like becoming a first-time homeowner or getting a dream property, or like you're still helping. And that is the common denominator in everything that you're doing across the board, brother, is help, trying to be a resource.
Yeah, I mean, I could go to Home Depot right now and get a job. In fact, I almost did, because right now the market's not very good if you go into the sales part of it. But I don't care. I don't need to, and I'm fine as doing this, because I'm not the money part of being a loan officer is not what drives me. It's the fulfillment of seeing people become a homeowner. And an example is, I had a guy call me that went on our charter, went to buy a house, a veteran, and when he bought his house, he found a home. He's now from going on our charter. He now doesn't drink, which is alcoholism has been a huge part of his life and his family. And now he just bought his second home. So now he owns two homes, and one of them is now going to be cash flowing for him, so he can be a rental, so he can grow. And yeah, I mean, it's things like that to where I'm able to help him out, and it's pretty awesome along the way. I mean, there's so many guys that have been a part of this. One of my pilots, Aaron Eckerberg, he was a huge part of our nonprofit. Another guy out of Costa Mesa, Benny, he played a role. Another guy, Jason Lilly, he was part of Recon Marsoc, and if you've ever seen them show Generation Kill, they did a whole series on Marine First Recon Unit going into Iraq, and the character Jason Lilly is played with him. So the girls, the guy who's the big buff guy on Twilight, I guess he played Jason on that show. So, but Jason really helped catapult our nonprofit in that. So everybody has played a vital role in getting us to where it is, but the big part of it is it's really helping other people. It's not helping us. So anyway.
Yeah. So let's dive into Real Warriors, man. I think part of the reason that we wanted to have you on this show is because we want to drum some support. We want to let veterans know what's available, so that they could sign up if they want.
Yeah.
And for the people that may be interested in donating or supporting or getting involved, or just even checking out everything that you got going on, it's to raise awareness for Real Warriors. And I want to spend some time on that, if that's okay. I think with your story, man, I want to close out the chapter on your story saying this, that what I want our audience to understand is that you are the definition of resilience, in the sense that you never let bad circumstance, trauma, trouble, or hard times become period the end. It became comma and, or comma and that's okay. And you use that to propel yourself forward. And I want to drive this now home, dude, because this is important. It's 2024. The world is an insane landscape. I don't even know how to talk about that, right? Because I don't want to get too political. But we're in such a weird time But everywhere I look still, man, the whole reason I started this podcast back in August of last year was because I look to my left, our brothers and sisters are hurting. I look to my right. Everywhere I look, people are hurting. And it's 2024 now, but that's not changed. In fact, it's gotten worse. And it's hard times and tribulation and uncertainty. And it's everywhere. I mean, it is everywhere right now. And so I really want people to understand through your story that you don't need to let divorce, you don't need to let hard times, you don't need to let alcohol abuse, you don't need to let suicide, you don't need to let any kind of mental barrier. It doesn't need to be period the end. Any of that. Like, it's time to start learning how to insert a comma into your life and let that become a run-on sentence for what's next. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, 100%.
I'm being serious, man, because like everywhere we look, people are hurting. And your story to me is inspiring. Like truly it is, dude, because like I said, I'm a better looking and darker. You know, I got the tan and the sun.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I get it. I got that silver fox going on. That's what my wife says.
Yeah. See, I got that. I got the no hair going on and all that. But in reality, dude, like we're one and the same. Like,
oh yeah.
I never let. This is like a respect thing to you because for me personally, like I am where I am, and I'm not saying I'm accomplished by no means. I got a long fucking way to go. I'm just figuring it out, man. But like, I got here because I fought my demons. I got here because I have that winning spirit inside of me, and because I wanted to see other people win, I want to show them. That's why I'm here. I want to show people that you can overcome. And I want to show people that there's people out there that genuinely want to see you win, that it drives them to see the people around them win. And you're one of these fucking people, man.
Yeah.
You're one of those guys that literally has taken the worst deck handed to him and made something of it. And this is important.
But that's the thing is like, so when you talk about that, you talk about failure, and failure happens. It's going to happen in your life, and you gotta. What did you learn from it? It's not a failure if you learn.
It's feedback.
It is, yeah, 100%. Like I have failed. I don't know how. I mean, I have 2 failed marriages, but I vowed that I would never bring my past into my future, but I would learn from it, you know, and there's things that I do, and I look at all 3 of my, and I use this. I look at my 2 marriages and I go, where did I mess up?
Sure.
It's not that 100%. Yeah. And you know, what's one thing my wife said to me when we were dating? She goes, you didn't say it was all them. It was all their fault. I looked inward and I started looking at myself and I'm going, what did I do? Whether we were not the right compatibility, but what did I do what could I have done better? What can I do better to not only better myself, but that correlates to life. What can you do better in your work environment? What can you better do your family, for your child? We always sit there. You could watch a reel on Instagram and be like, I should be doing that. Everybody does it. You say it in your brain, you say it in your thoughts, but we don't do it. And that's the difference. And you just got to put it to action.
Dude, and that is, taking action is the difference between who makes it and doesn't. I mean, that's it. Literally.
Dude, when we started the nonprofit, you just got to go. And when we started the nonprofit, I didn't even know. Did you know there's more than just a 501c3? I didn't know anything about a nonprofit. There's about a 501c6. There's a 501d. There is so many different types of nonprofits out there based on what your business is. But I didn't know anything. All I want to do is help people. I was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's go. And I started it. I took the step. And that's the biggest, that's what you need to do in life is find something. And if you fail, learn from it and just keep going and be like, okay, I learned from this one. That didn't work. Let me try something else.
That's it. And don't take it personal.
No,
because it's nothing is forever. So like you may have failed. That might be really embarrassing. That is hard, but hard now is not hard then. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah, it's not.
hard will change like as you go, dude. I just talked about this on my social media the other day because I was literally running on the treadmill and I was thinking, you'll appreciate this. Going back to the dragon, I remember like I never wanted to be the Marine. Like I didn't want to be in the military. I respected the military, but I was a military not for me kid. But then when I picked one, I was like, I could never be a Marine because they're commercials. The guy climbs the mountain and fights a fucking dragon. There's no way I'm ever going to be a fucking Marine. That's tough shit. And then you hear all.
I want to try that though. Yeah, I want to try it though.
Yeah. And then when you hear somebody tells you, this is the first time I ever got positive feedback from an adult in my life was somebody told me, dude, you can do it. I was a Marine, like you can do it. It's not as hard as you think. I'm like, really? And then curious, right? Curiosity created the condition, and then I went and I did it. And then it dawned on me like, holy shit, nothing gets easier. You think boot camp is going to be the hardest part of being in the military, like when you go to the Marine Corps. But then you go to the next thing, and that's actually just a little bit harder, but you're conditioned now to deal with hard differently. And then you go through being in the fleet, and then you go through war, and all this other shit. And it's not that the baseline got less because boot camp is the hard part, and then it's cruise control.
Right.
Oh, shit, like I've just adapted to hard. And now if you could take that mentality on this outside world for anybody, I don't care if you're a veteran or not a veteran listening to this, like no matter what, this applies to you. If you can understand that the baseline for hard is just going to continuously rise with you and that's just what it is.
Period. Well, that's the training. It doesn't, because if you really think about all the training we did in the military and all the training you do in your work, and I'm going to use military training.
Sure.
When we were in combat, right? You do all these, you do training, and literally in the aircraft, we'd loop, land, loop, land, loop. That's all we did. We're like, what are you going to do in aircraft? We're going to fly straight. We're going to turn. We're going to land. We're going to take off. We're going to fly. We're going to land. I mean, let's go training, guys. And we're like, so boring for 3 hours every time, right? But when we were in combat, that training that we did became so normal that it was like tying your shoes. I could close my eyes, tie my shoes. I don't even need to do it anymore. If I say close your eyes and write your name, you'd be like, this is so easy. This is stupid. Why? Because you've done it a million times. It's repetition, and that's what it is. And if you fail, the first time you fail, it's not easy. It's about getting back up, and that's where it is. But to me, that's where the network and the teamwork and the brotherhood and the sisterhood that we have in the military, because we don't let each other. The moment somebody says, I'm down, they're like, the fuck you are. They grab them by the back of the neck and we yank them up. You're like, let's go. I'll carry you.
And if they're not your friend. Change your friends group.
Yeah, I mean that's what it is. And that's what I love about the Real Warriors is we get 20. So we were talking about when we started trying it, you could take 4 people out, put 4 people on a boat. We go fishing for the day we come back. What happens? One of those guys is like, I don't even know these 3 people. I don't even care. I don't like them. I'm out. And then what did you get out of it? You got a fishing trip. Yeah. But we put 20, 25 people, and then you wake up, you're like having coffee, and you're like, there's nothing to do but talk. You have 25 people to choose from to talk to. You're going to find that one person that you'll be like, wait, you collect He-Man toys just like I do? I'm like, I do. I'm like, all right, man. Me and you are bros. We're locked in. And then that's what happens. And that's what it's all about. It has nothing to do with fishing. The fishing is just like the icing on the cake. And then you find your brotherhood. You find your sister. You'll be like, oh my God, this is amazing. I pay my eyebrows in too. I can't grow them out. It's just whatever. You're finding those people that fit within your life, and that's what it is. There's a girl. Oh my gosh, I could go on. I could tell stories about everybody that I ran into. Deandra, Deandra, she's up in LA. She calls me. She's really started to become part of the Real Warriors family. And I say family because that's how I am. To me, we all are family. We're all unity. Am I be able to impact one person? No. But if we can continue to grow, it just grows, and we continue to build that culture. And that's what we want with the Real Warriors Foundation. I'm not trying to be a millionaire. I'm not trying to raise the most money. It's about the mission of the people, and that's connecting them and that. So, but Deandra, yeah, she came out. She came fishing with us. She comes down from LA, and now she's like really starting to become more involved. She helps out with our female charters as well, and that. So yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Man.
I got you with that He-Man.
I love it. Yeah, so let's talk about Real Warriors some, dude. We could go for hours on the mindset, and I appreciate that. I just really wanted to highlight that for our audience because I think it's important to give people a resource or to spend some time talking about that. Hey, one, we identify with you that it's hard. Like, we're not saying it's not. You're not making it up. We get it. It is hard right now. Things suck. But it's not the end of you. And, like, don't quit. Like, find what it is that makes you tick and go after it. I mean, we can both agree on that, right? Like, pursue what is going to make you feel like you're living within a purpose of some sort.
Yeah.
And don't quit because it just gets hard. And you do this, like, find something you really love and go all in. Like, pour the coals on them. You know what I mean? Like, all in. But with that, so Real Warriors, you guys work me through. Let's talk about a bluefin tuna trip, right? So where do I start?
Because you go to our website, realwarriorsfoundation.org, and you sign up. You log in. You sign up, and if you can't log in, you can email us at info@realwarriorsfoundation.org, and we'll reach out. I mean, I answer those emails. We have a whole team that does that. And the whole purpose is once you sign up, you go on our wait list, and we do have a wait list. So we just ask that you be patient, because our goal is to raise as much money as we possibly can so we can do these charters. And the more money we have, the more charters we can do, the faster we can get these charters going and get more veterans out. That's the biggest thing. Every dollar goes toward it. We pay for everything. So the only thing you have to do is show up. As long as you can show up to the dock, buy your plane ticket, drive your car, whatever it is, you get there. We pay for the charter. We pay for your fishing license. We pay for the fishing rod, the gear, so you have everything you need to. The guys on the boat will make sure you have everything. We tip the crew. We make sure they're taken care of. And then once you catch your fish, you take your fish home, but you're not taking it home. We connect you with a processor. The processor will take your fish, they'll clean it, package it, and they will, if you can pick it up, great. If not, we will ship it to your front door to where you have meat. I think that's the biggest thing. So not only that, then you get home and you're like, you want to make some blackened mahi, and you're opening up the fish that you caught and you're feeding your family now. Yeah. And that's the biggest, that's really kind of what it is. You're bringing that stuff home and everything like that. And we'll ship it throughout. So we've shipped to Missouri, we've shipped to Washington, Texas, everywhere, just wherever you're at. But the biggest thing is what we're focusing on really is we don't want veterans that are going to come out from all over, because I don't want you flying in from Missouri and fishing and then going home to yourself from Missouri. We want to start growing communities. So if you're in Missouri and you want to start something, a Real Warriors or something to help veterans in that area, to start bringing veterans together. Because the biggest thing is when you go home after fishing, if you go home by yourself, then all you did is achieve a fishing trip. We need to focus on making sure we're creating communities in our communities. So like I'm in San Antonio, Texas. We're going to go fish Port A, Corpus Christi, all that stuff. But I want when everybody gets off the boat and you go home, that you're going back to San Antonio, all the people you hung out with, they're all going back to San Antonio as well. So that when you're done, you're like, hey, I'm struggling. Hey, I'm going through divorce. Hey, I'm having a baby. Hey, I'm moving. I need some help. Hey, whatever experience, because that's what we did when we were in the military, that network and that. And we want to create that type of environment to where it is. I'm not going to say you're going to like everybody on the boat, but if you can make friends with 2 or 3 people, that's where it starts. Somebody that you're comfortable with and you become brother or sister with, and that's really what the core of Road Warriors is. Cool.
So what events do you got coming up this year that people can look at?
So the biggest event we have right now is our Fins and Fairways golf tournament. It's June 1st. It's in Oceanside, California at Emerald Isles Golf Course. It's a fishing. It's an 18-hole golf course. Come play some golf, have fun. We're going to have a little party afterwards, as well as we're getting a band and some music, socialize, bring the family, play golf, come back, bring the kids, bring the wife, and have a good time. And that's what it's about. And then day 2, which is on June 2nd, we're going fishing out of Dana Point, and we're going to go out and we're going to go do some fishing for the day. You can do that. All the money we raise, everything that you donate is donated to the 501c3, the nonprofit Road Warriors. It's going to help our mission, and that's what it's for. It's a complete fundraiser. We also have a ruck march that is, if you are in Illinois, we have a ruck march called the Warrior Ruck, and that is a 20-mile ruck. You don't have to do 20 miles. It's 5 miles one way. You can do 5 miles. You can do 10 miles. You can do 15, 20, whatever you want. It's out of Illinois, Frankfort, Illinois, and same weekend, June 1st in Illinois. And then we also have a gala that we do in San Antonio. It is November 16th at Park 31, and that's where we get to dress to impress. You put on a nice suit, you look all fresh, you look all nice, and we have a guest speaker. His name is Sergeant Major Simnak. He is a Green Beret with 19th Group. He's going to come in and speak with us and share his stories as well. So we have a lot of events out there, but all of it goes to the mission of making sure everybody has find your community, find your family, and if you don't have one, come to Road Warriors. We'll help you find one. That's really what it is.
Yeah, hell yeah. And then what about fishing trips? You said you do 4 a year.
So fishing trips, yeah, you sign up through the website. The fishing trips, we have 4 a year. And then what we'll do is we take 20 to 25 veterans. If you have, you sign up, we put your name on the wait list. And then once that wait list, we'll call you and let you know and say, hey, we have the fishing trip. If you can't make that fishing trip, it's okay. We're going to call you and let you know, okay, which one can you get on? We may not be able to get you on that one that we called you on, but we'll get you on the next one. You didn't lose your spot. You just stay right where you're at. And we just keep moving forward. We have about 900 veterans that have signed up to go fishing. But we're trying to pump through it as fast as we can. But it doesn't stop you from being part of the community. We want to do some more free stuff to where it's, one of the things we did, where Santee Lakes are in San Diego, it's a bunch of lakes. There's catfish. We would just go there and fish. We would just hang out. And like in the military, they would have these camps where, the picnics where you get out and you can bring the whole squad and everybody bring their family and kids and everything. So that's what we would do. We would get together and we bring like 15, 20 fishing rods and we all just hang out, fish, barbecue, have some drinks, and that's it. It's just a good time. It's a reason to be together and hang out and find that network of people, new friends and some old friends. We have a lot of people that reconnect through it. Like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen you in forever. So yeah, it's good times.
Would you suggest tell people like sign up with your veteran buddies? Like try to get.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Sign up with a friend. You want to do the buddy system like you did in the military to join? Do the buddy system. That's what it's about. bring a friend. That's what it's about. We did one charter to where we helped out. It was about 10 guys. We found a boat that holds 10 guys, and it was all guys from the Kitty Hawk. They all served together, and they went on a boat together, and it was like a reunion. And I mean, can you imagine being on a boat with 10 of your guys that you served with, or did right? It'd be a great time, great memory. So, and that's what it's all about. Fishing is just, like I said, it's icing on the cake. It's nice to have and do that, but you got to beat the record is 238 pounds. That's a big record.
It's like what, a 5-foot fish?
No, I want to say the fish was about, if you stood it from mouth to the tail, I think it was like 6'2", 6'3".
Holy shit!
Yeah, he fed his family for a year.
Dude,
yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, if you go to the Instagram page that we have all the photos on there. You go in there, you'll see it. You're going to be like, oh, that's the fish right there. It's a big fish. It's massive. My record right now for me, it's 140 pound bluefin tuna. And I was just like, all right, I got the record. And then he smoked me. I was like, damn it. So it's kind of like, you got this little bit of a competition. Like who's got the record? So right now the record is Josh Haywood with 238. So I implore everybody to beat him, because he needs to be beat, because he's Navy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely needs to be beat. Well, what do you think? Let's get into FAQs. And this is just to help our audience answer some questions, right? Like just some things to chew on. So first and foremost, it's the pinnacle question of the show, man. It's, what is a blue collar barbarian to you?
It's a blue collar barbarian. Barbarian to me is a fighter, and somebody that's not willing to give up and do whatever it is to take to provide for his family or for whatever that drives him. And that's what it is. It's surviving. It's, what do we need to do to survive? What do we need to do to provide for myself, for my family, for the person to my left and right? That's really what it is. Whether I'm running a Fortune 500 company, or I'm, putting bearings into a putting the balls into the bearing for my will. Yeah. It doesn't matter what it is. You do it to your best of your ability, and that's what it is.
Yeah, for sure. I like that. Moving right along. What is, and I think we covered this pretty good, but I mean, I just want to hear it from you from a removed, what is the most rewarding part about running this nonprofit to
you? It's seeing the people come off the boat and they kind of find a reset, and they reconnect. And man, that's a good question. Yeah. It's them finding peace, I think, is really what it is, because we started the nonprofit. Our motto was give a veteran a break from everyday life, but it just started to turn into a community in that. And you give a veteran a break, but it really turned into them finding their purpose and their network, and resetting to where they could sit back and kind of look back and go, where am I going? What am I doing? And seeing them progress in a successful light, I think is what it really is really what it is. And if you come off the boat and you're not, come back. We'll try again. Yeah. We're going to get you there. That's what it is.
And then, so I hunt and I fish, right? I personally, I get, the outdoors is magic to the soul, man. But what is it that you see? Because this parlays, right? So what is it that you see? Can you tell people, maybe for the veterans out there, the people out there that might know of that isn't currently into outdoor activities, what is it about being out on the ocean, and in this case, or fishing, but about getting outside that really works on people, man?
So it's the fresh air. It's the disconnect. We all know that social media, as wonderful and great to the instant information that we have, but having that disconnect from it takes, I want to say the disconnect brings us to reality, of what that is. And I think that is the most important part, because it's just that reconnection to where it is, of what we're doing and all that finding that purpose.
In a moment of peace and tranquility, almost.
It really is. Being out in the water, you don't have anything else but that.
Yeah, you're present. Fine.
You're present. You have the person to your, and you can't. You're distracted by the person that you have combat. When you're sitting in a foxhole or you're on post or whatever it is, what are you doing? You're sitting there and you're just talking with people. Same thing. We're just fishing now. Yeah. But having the fresh air, watching the sunrise, I can go into this whole blue light theory, but I don't think we have enough time. But there's something with that too. It's a reset. Yeah. Episode 2.
Yeah. And we will definitely have that.
Oh yeah.
We'll get into some of the resources for vets and how
100%. Yeah.
My last question for you is, what are 3 things you would want every veteran that's going through a hard time to know?
Don't quit. That's number 1.
Hell yeah.
Don't quit. Don't quit. These are chapters in our life. All right. Don't quit. Reach out.
Yes.
I don't care who you are. You can call me. You can call anybody. Somebody's gonna answer.
People care.
All right. People care. We all as veterans, one of the biggest thing everybody always talks about the suicide and the 22 and, bring awareness. We're all aware. All right. As my friend said, we're all aware of veterans in the 22. All right. What are you doing about it? What are you doing? Like, how are you impacting it? So call your friends. And if you don't hear from your friends, call your friends, because the last thing you want to do is to hear a phone call from somebody else that you're not there. They want to hear the phone call from you saying, "Hey, I need you." Yeah. Look at that. Have you ever seen that? There's a video that it kills me every time. And this guy came to surprise a buddy that he hadn't seen in like 3-4 years. I don't know all the details of it. And he walks up and he pretends to be a pizza delivery guy. He's got a mask on. He's got a hat on. He's got, all you can see is his eyes like this. And he delivers a pizza. As soon as he opens the door, the wife was in on it. She set this up. So he came to visit his buddy that he hadn't seen. They were in combat together and all that stuff. As soon as he opened the door, he saw it and he recognized him. He recognized him from just seeing this, just his eyes, knew who he was, kicked the door open, Andrews just hugged him and just started bawling. Like, nobody wants to see you do that. So that's my thing. Just reach out. Yeah. Don't be afraid. Nobody's going to hang up on you. Yeah. Maybe they're pooping. And that's why they can't answer the phone. Yeah. But they'll answer. Just tell them to call you. I need you to call me. They'll answer.
Yeah. And it doesn't make you less.
No, absolutely not. Put your pride aside.
Yeah. Doesn't make you less. We've done it. We've all made that phone call.
We have.
Dude, just calm me down, whatever it may be. Like, just make the phone call.
Yeah.
100%. Well, Joey, this is the part of the show. We've been recording for 1 hour and 35 minutes, and I appreciate your time. I know it's late there. I could talk to you all day, dude. I love your mindset. But this is the part of the show where it's closing thoughts. And one thing I like to do during this part of the show is I ask our I ask our guests to leave a book recommendation and or a quote that has spoke to them to help sharpen that mental sword for our audience. Do you have any closing thoughts or anything that you'd share with us on that?
One of the things I learned as I was going through my career is you're going to have failures and successes, but education comes at a price, no matter how we pay for it.
Oh, nice.
So it doesn't matter if whether it's a divorce or bankruptcy. It's you're going to learn from it, but take something away from it and learn from it. That's the biggest takeaway I can say. Education comes at a price, no matter how you pay for it. And
that's powerful.
It is.
Wow.
And that's still true today. It literally happened to me about 2 hours 2 hours ago. And I went, oh, damn it. And now I'm at the point when I hear that, I go, how much did that cost me? I'm like, it didn't cost me anything. I just learned from it. It's not like it's, and that's the biggest thing. But
good.
Yeah.
Well, Joey, from Chinooks and Baghdad, dropping out of college, fishing for tuna, and selling cars to helping our brothers and sisters, our community, man. I really appreciate your story. I respect you greatly. We'll definitely be in touch. We'll do an episode 2 where we can maybe be more resources to people that are
absolutely. Let's do
it. And do stuff. So
yeah, let's talk about it. I'll help. I definitely anything to help these guys out, educate them on how to use their VA and stuff like that. For sure.
Absolutely. Well, dude, I really appreciate your time. Your story is incredible. What you're doing is incredible. Like I told you, please tell your team thank you from all of us here at Barbarians. We respect you. We see you, and we're happy to help share your message. And for our audience, tell them where they can follow along, please. Just one more time. Where can they check you guys out at? Where can they follow?
You can go on Facebook, Real Warriors. We have our Facebook community as well for Real Warriors. It's called RWF Community. Come join the community. We have Meme Mondays. It's fun. Show your memes, no filter. And we also have our Instagram, Real Warriors Foundation, YouTube, TikTok, all that stuff. Check it out. Follow us and find out what's going on. That's the biggest thing. Yep.
Yeah, and if I have an ask as the host of this show, if you're somebody or you know somebody that can help and be a resource for these guys to help these guys help more veterans, please reach out to Joey and get involved. Let's get more guys out on the water and let's help change more people's lives and get back to doing stuff together, because that's the important message in this, is coming together. So
yeah, come to the party June 1st, Oceanside. Emerald Isle, Fins and Fairways. You don't have to golf. Just come to the end of it. There's going to be a party and a band. It's going to be a good time.
Hell yeah.
Come say hi.
All right, Barbarians. You heard it. The party, June 1st, Oceanside, California. We'll see you guys there. We appreciate everybody for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one.